Hey, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Now That You Mention It podcast with Roll, Jay, and RJ. Of course, I'm Roll.
I'm Jay.
And I'm RJ.
Before we dive into this evening's episode, we first want to ask you if you wouldn't mind giving us a like and a subscribe here on our YouTube page. Also, don't forget to hit the little bell in the corner on, I guess, this side, so that you can get notified every time a new episode drops. Don't forget to check us out in audio only format on Apple Podcast, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page. Give us some love there. Reddit, and of course, Instagram.
Oh, and now Twitter, actually.
Oh,
sorry, I should have mentioned that to you guys earlier, but yeah,
right.
I went and made a Twitter. So
adding a new format. Man, we're diversifying like crazy. So, guys, how are y'all doing today on Veterans Day, since that's when we're actually filming this episode?
Good, man. Everything's going good. Just want to say thank you to all the veterans who served, especially to our two brothers, Renee and Philip, both proud Army veterans, one serving in Afghanistan, one serving in Iraq. We just want to say thank you to, for your service, and thank you for doing everything that you do so that I can sit here and be a jackass on the internet.
I know that's right, especially on your part. But no, in all
right.
seriousness,
good-looking jackass.
in all seriousness, as the saying goes, freedom isn't free. So we definitely appreciate all our veterans.
We definitely appreciate the sacrifice that our many service men and women make for us, as Jay said, to give us the opportunity to be home, to be safe, and to have the freedom that we have.
And before we really delve into it, I also want to give a thank you and shout out to my friend Tony, who is currently serving in the Marines.
Oh, awesome!
Wow, nice.
All right, well, thank you, Tony. Thank you for your service.
We need to have a
service member.
Yeah, a service member roundtable. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
because our younger brother Philip, I always wondered about that because he used to drive around in a tank with a bunch of other guys, and I always wondered about that because he can't even parallel park his pickup truck. How they were driving a $50 million house.
Well, hold on. When you think about it, when you're in a tank, do you really need a parallel park? I mean, you just kind of run over things if you need to.
You run over everything that you need to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's hard for me to imagine my little brother doing that. And then, our other brother tells a story about hitting golf balls off of Saddam Hussein's palace into the desert.
Whoa, man! You can't give away secret intel like that. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's real vital to national security there, pal.
Hold on, I think someone's knocking at my door, man.
Uh-oh.
Are they coming to ask questions?
The alphabet gang, as they say.
Is Trompas looking for you?
Well, he's looking for something, but it ain't me. he looking for some votes that were never placed.
Hey, so I'm looking over my shoulder here. I'm looking at one of our very early broadcasts. Man, it was pretty cool, Jay, that at that time you could actually drop titles in. What's happened to your editing skills?
Well, a lot of that stuff I was doing it, trying to do it while we were broadcasting. But the only problem is with it was taking a lot of focus out of
the content.
Yeah, content, because I was trying to time everything as we were actually doing it, where now I can just go in and add that stuff in post-production. Now that I figured out how to edit and get in there and really create different layovers and things like that, overlays. I mean, it makes it a lot easier just doing it after we're done with it. So a lot of times when we're talking, you don't really see the content we're talking about. Whereas before, we would, when we were shifting topics, I would, while you're talking, I'm over here looking on the other screen trying to get my, my right brand content in there so that we could, shift things over like that. But we've evolved. When I go back and watch some of those early episodes, and I'm like, God, man, that we didn't really know what we were doing.
It is great to go back and watch some of those old episodes.
Oh yeah, and I was telling your dad, I mean, this is episode 31.
Yeah,
which means we're well over 7 months into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're over half a year in, and just I think about all the fun that we've had doing some of our past episodes. Some of
definitely.
like
I got the same 5 viewers that started off with.
Well, I think we've diversified a little. We do have a lot more viewers than we did in that first couple of days when it was just family watching us.
Yeah,
But I like one of my favorite episodes was the episode where we ranked the Batmans. So when I go back sometimes when I'm watching that, I watch that one, like, man, that was a really good episode. Because I think some of the best episodes we have is when we rank stuff, because it's always fun for me to see what kind of things are floating around in y'all's empty heads over there.
It's funny that you brought up the Batman episode, because the whole reason I texted you today about the Spotify was because one of my friends messaged me. I'll give him a little shout out, Luis, talking about how no one had The Dark Knight in their top 5. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I did. So I went back and checked and I did. But I just thought that was funny because we were talking about Batman today and you happened to bring up that episode.
Yeah, I mean, well, because it's one of my favorite episodes. It's one of the better ones. And so it's one of those things where I like ranking stuff. Like when we did the Halloween candy episode, I actually put a lot of thought into that. I was sitting there as we were, before we started filming, I was like, man, do I really want to put that one number 1 or should I put that one number 2? No, I think I like this one better and this one. And then, of course, I went to go visit you knuckleheads today. And what do y'all do? The first thing you do is throw freaking off-colored candy corns at me.
The great brown candy corn.
The great
jackasses. That's all right, though. That's all right. I mean, I can't choose who I'm related to, so I'm stuck with you two.
Damn.
No, but I do think just kind of tying back into the audio formats is, while a lot of the production, whether it's live or even, afterwards, is fun, we still have to keep in mind the people who are listening to it on Spotify or iHeartRadio. That's why the content is more important ultimately.
Yeah.
The video will make for great, clips on our social media, on Instagram, things like that. But, the content and what we talk about is more important.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't think about it. I should have described what my costumes were when we did our Halloween special, because all those people that listen to us on audio format, they missed out on my great costume changes. Man, that's not really fair to them.
I'm pretty sure they'd probably say that you.
No, they got cheated. I'm gonna have to go back.
I don't think there's a way for you to do your costumes justice through words.
Yeah, because it's real hard to describe putting a piece of cardboard on your forehead.
Man, why do you gotta hate? That's what I want to know. Why y'all gotta hate?
It was.
I just said that you couldn't do the costumes justice. How is that hating?
That was as lame as 3-hole punch Jim on The Office.
Oh my god!
Because that was. That's just a total lack of effort, man. Like
total lack of effort. What the hell are you talking about?
No thought.
You know what you should have been? A mail-in ballot. That would have been genius.
Wow. Well, so
anyway,
let's talk about things that right now I'm not throwing knives at either one of you in my head. Are you guys eager to see the Masters?
I'm glad you guys are talking about this, because earlier when I saw you guys, I asked you guys if y'all saw that video. It was one of the most amazing shots that I've ever seen in golf, period. And I watch a lot of golf. I watch a tournament when I have a free Sunday or something like that. I might put a good tournament on if it's on. I won't watch a lot of spare tournaments, but you know, the majors, everybody's into the majors.
Yeah.
And so I've seen a lot of, I go back and I'll go down the rabbit hole on YouTube and I'll look at a bunch of Phil Mickelson's flop shots and, you know, some saves Tiger's had. One of my favorite golf shots was in the Mercedes Open, and I forget what year it was. And Tiger and some other guy going to a playoff, and it's raining. So the greens are real soft. Mm-hmm. And on the first playoff hole, it's a par 3. Tiger just knocks one, man, and sticks it to within 5 inches of the hole. And I mean, that ball came down, and because the green was wet, boom, just hit the green and stuck. Like it did not move another inch. And it was like that far from the hole. I'm like, man, that's as close to dunking it as you can get on a golf course. But that shot, what was the guy's name, Roll?
John Rahm or Ram?
John Rahm.
Sure it's Rahm.
Yeah, John Rahm.
So this guy, if you haven't seen the video, it's one of the, go YouTube it, man. It's one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in my life. So there's a tradition in the practice rounds for the Masters. I forget what number hole it is, but that, you know, the spectators expect the golfers to skip the ball over the water, right, to try to get it across. Now you would never do that in tournament play because that's suicide, right? But it's a practice round, so everybody does it. I know Jordan Spieth did it, and you know this guy did it, and the guy skips it over the water 2-3 times, lands it on the green, and that thing rolls in for a hole in one. Like it rolls all the way up the green, kind of at an angle, rolls past the hole, and then comes back down the hill to the hole and goes in. It's one of the most amazing golf shots I've ever seen in my life. That was ridiculous.
I agree. It was awesome. It really was awesome.
I mean, and it goes to show you the skill that these guys have that we could never. I mean, as an amateur golfer, you would never be able to even. You know, RJ called it a once in a lifetime shot, and it is. I mean, because there's no way anybody will ever be able to duplicate that. It's just too hard. But when you think about, if you've ever been to an NBA game or Mavericks game before, you know, live, you know, they have a shoot around before the game starts. So these guys are out there, and you know, Steph Curry is famous for this, taking half court shots and taking all kinds of wild shots and making them. You know, and that's something he would ever do in a game, even though he takes some crazy shots in a game.
I was going to say.
Well, I mean, he will. He'll pull up a 45-footer on you, but he's not taking one from the opposite baseline, right? In a game, where he does that in the shooting rounds and the practices and stuff like that. And it just goes to show you how far of a different level that these professional athletes are on than us regular people, man. Because there's no way, you know, John Schmo could ever go to that.
Well, what's funny,
over like that to a hole in one.
It to some degree, well, for the most part, I should say, I completely agree with you. But I'm also going to say that luck does have a big part of it too, and here's why. You and I played golf back in the heyday. We played golf almost every week. I remember one time our other brother Gabriel went with us, and we were at Stevens Park, and we were on the par 3. I think it was the 4th hole originally. When in the original configuration, it was the 4th hole, right? You're sitting up on the hill and you're hitting down to the green. I remember Gabriel got up into the tee box and he whiffed for the most part. Well, he didn't entirely whiff, but he topped the ball really hard. But the ball went straight line, caught down the hill, and rolled onto the green, rolled to within about 1.5 feet of the green of the hole.
And then he 3-putted.
Damn.
Damn, that's besides the point. But what I'm saying is,
no.
Yeah.
there was absolutely no skill or talent in there.
I agree with you.
But he almost hit a hole in one.
Luck does play a big part of it. But what I'm talking about, not so much the hole in one, the way he did it, but for these guys to be able, I mean, how would you even go about hitting a ball to know that it would skip over the damn water? You know, I mean, I could sit there and take 200 shots at that, and I would never be able to get it to skip over the water and even make it to the other side onto the green, let alone a hole in one, right? The hole in one part, that was pure luck. I don't think there's any way he could have aimed that ball, anything he could have done to make that ball, you know, go into the hole the way that it did. But these guys have so much skill that they know at what angle to hit that club, what trajectory to hit that ball so that it skips over the damn pond. You know, that right there, that's a different level of skill that, you know.
You know what, having seen your drives, your shots off tee, you probably would have skipped it naturally anyway. Because
whatever, dude. My drives were majestic, dude. They could have put one of those trackers on my drives and seen the cuts that came out of that bad boy.
I don't think they would waste that technology on a drive that only goes 75 yards.
That went into the forest.
All right. So
hey, that reminds me.
It looks like on the horizon, now that you mention it, podcast tournaments got to be coming up.
Yeah, I was just about to say
we got to come up with that. You're absolutely right. But speaking of old golf stories, I remember I did this one time. So Raul used to play with us all the time too at Stevens, and on the seventh hole, the par 3 where you hit over the little creek, right? He went through this phase where I think he just had a mental block, and no matter what he did, he would always hit it right into the water.
Yeah,
creek, right. Yeah. And it was like two or three rounds in a row that we went out there. He did the same thing every time we got to the hole. So the one time I got a golf ball, right, and I put I drew a little scuba gear face on it, a little scuba mask on it, eyes, and then I glued pipe cleaner on it so it looked like the snorkel. so when we got up to that hole, I told him, hey, before you tee off on this one, I got a special ball for you to hit. That way, in case it goes in the water, you don't mind losing it. And I pulled that ball out and I put it on the tee.
That's cold-blooded, man. Way to help your compadre out there, you know, right? Rather than trying to get him out of the yips, you just drive him further in by giving him a speed ball.
Kick a man when he's down. Well, the only thing that would have been better is if I could have put a little life jacket on it, right?
See, one of these days we're gonna have to tell the joke about the Mexican crab, because you know what you are, dude? You're a crab.
Hey, don't bite your tongue there, bro.
I know that's right. Well,
I'm an admitted crab, and I would never.
You're a card carrying crab.
I'm a card carrying crab member.
Damn, you got the black card.
Brother, you don't even know, man. I'm in such an exclusive crab club, you'd never be able to get in.
The funny thing is that what you guys are kind of talking about actually was something that I was going to bring up, is that golf is such a mental game more than a lot of other sports, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And especially because it is a solo sport, you know, there's not really teams that often. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see like a guy like Jordan Spieth who, you know, I know some people he's gotten in a funk, and there are people I think who are a little disappointed about, you know, his recent outings, but whenever it comes Masters time, for whatever reason, he always plays well at the Masters. So that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, Tiger's reigning champ. You know, that was a great storyline last year.
Yeah.
And just how weird it is that the fact that Masters this year is being played in November. And
instead of May when it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And I know on the ticket that we're talking about that this thing could potentially go into Monday because of, you know, some of the storms that are predicted to occur this weekend.
Well, all I know is my money's on Bryson DeChambeau. That's my guy right now.
DeChambeau, first of all.
Whatever, dude. he's got he took the unorthodox approach of rather than slimming down and
No kidding.
getting more flexible. The dude bulked up.
That dude hit the weight room and said, "I'm gonna just massacre every shot."
Yeah, and that's what he's doing, man. He's driving at like 400 yards. He's going crazy on some, and he won the last tournament.
I was gonna say SMU kid too. He's an SMU.
That's
kid.
right, baby.
They're great.
Power.
Well,
Hey, didn't he get turned into dog food? That guy right there.
Man. You better be glad this is a family show. I might just call you out on something there, buddy. Anyway, you got jokes. Huh?
I think my dog bit one of his hooves in a can of
Hell no,
in a
not
can of
Peruna,
food that I gave her.
Not Peruna.
It said it had looked like the second part of an M and a U on there, so I was kind of wondering about that.
Man.
anyways,
To all you SMU fans, don't get your panties in a wad. I love the Meadows Museum, so calm down.
Yeah,
Meadows Museum is pretty great.
That, next week they do their celebration of lights, which is really, really cool. Have you ever gone there, Jay?
Not for that, no.
Yeah, you
It's
got to go
awesome.
check it out. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
awesome. They light up the campus with Christmas lights. It's really.
Are they
really
doing it
fun.
this year? Do you
Yeah,
know?
they're doing it. It's
Okay.
on the 16th.
What I really want to go to over there that I still have not had a chance to go to is I want to go see the
Bush.
Museum. Yeah, the Bush
Yeah.
Library.
Yeah.
That I've heard really good things about it. I heard that it's really cool. And I know President Bush. He's a real big into painting, and I know that they have his Christmas. I believe they have Laura Bush's Christmas set up over there that they put up every year that she took from the White House when she left.
Well, because she's an alumni.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's I would love to get over there to see the Bush Library. I just not have had a chance to do it.
Yeah, no, I that's one thing we talk about too on one of our episodes is for as long as we lived in Dallas, how many of you guys have spent time at the Kennedy Memorial?
I have.
Really?
Yeah. I've been to the 6th floor museum on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't, and that's what's really bizarre is that we live in a country. I mean, I'm sorry, a city.
We do live in a country.
So many historical things going on.
Yeah.
That we don't even, as residents here, we don't even necessarily go partake.
But you know what? I think that's part and parcel to just about every major city, because I know that there's people who live in New York. They have zero interest in going up to the Empire State Building or going and hanging out on Times Square on a weekend or whatever, whereas if I were to go to New York, those are the touristy things I would want to do.
Right.
I want to go to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe what we do is we put together, we assemble the list.
Now that you mentioned it, tour of Dallas.
Exactly. All the tour things that we should do in our very own backyard. And
No, yeah. So what you're yeah, go ahead, finish.
what I was going to say is that once we create that list, then we make a commitment to go check off everything that's on that list, right?
Yeah.
So
I
that
think
go ahead.
what we combine that episode with is I think what you were trying to talk about, Uncle Jay, is make our own list of things you should do when you come to Dallas, things that we've actually done and already done that we can recommend to other people.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty cool episode.
Yeah,
The
because
Dallas.
there was a time where I drove for Uber part time, to make a little extra money. And when I see people up at the airport, they're like, "Yeah, what's the fun things to do in Dallas?" Man, I'll just tell them, you need to go here, you need to go see this place, you need to go do this, you need to go do that, because I've done all the touristy things in Dallas. I've been to the 6th floor museum, I've been to the top of the Reunion Tower, in the observatory, and in the restaurant up there. It used to be called Alteri's. I don't know what's up there now.
Wolfgang Puck, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
But there's new things popping up. Like I've never been inside the what's that hotel that's over there that's over by the convention center?
The Omni?
The Omni. I haven't been inside the Omni. I haven't God, what
Have you been to the Dallas Convention Center?
No, you know what? I've never been to the Dallas Convention Center since they opened the new one up. But you know what? I've spent a lot of time at the Margaret Hunt Bridge. Like I've taken tons of different pictures of at different angles of the bridge because my wife and I live close by there, so we go up there walking. Sometimes we'll go on the Continental Street Bridge, the pedestrian bridge, and from there,
Ron Kirk pedestrian bridge, please.
Yeah, that's what it's called now.
Okay, the Ron Kirk pedestrian bridge. My bad. Well, it used to be the old Continental Street. That's what it was.
Right. No,
You're right. Yeah.
And so from there, I've been able to take a lot of really good pictures, really cool pictures of the Margaret Hunt Bridge and the arc that goes over it and the span that, it's just a really cool visual. And when you go to the top of the levees over at the Trinity, you can get really good pictures of the skyline of Dallas, which 2 years ago was voted the best skyline in the world. So,
always has been for me.
well, yeah, I mean, and I remember, bro, you remember as far back as when they first built the Bank of America Tower, when they lit it up in green. You remember when they first did that? What we used to call it when we were kids. You remember?
The green building.
No,
Green Monster.
Yeah, we used to call it the Green
The
Monster.
Green Monster. Yeah.
Because
What was so cool about that too is back when we first lived out in Wilmer, before you had when it was really just country out there.
Yep.
On a good clear night,
you could
see downtown
from
all the way out there.
Yeah.
And you could clearly see the Green Monster from all the way out there.
I told somebody in our family that, like, you've never been able to do that. I'm like, yeah,
Yes,
I remember.
I clearly remember us being able to do it.
Yeah, when it on a clear night, you could see downtown from
the ranch.
outside the house.
From the ranch, yeah.
And I remember that.
I'm pretty sure there have been times when I was a kid that you could see it because I have that memory as a kid.
Yeah, but and now the Bank of America building has evolved to the point where it's no longer just a green building.
Right.
They can make it all. They can light it up in different colors, and that's one of the great things about the Dallas skyline is they've really synced up a lot of the buildings along with the Omni and along with the Reunion Tower, to where when they want to celebrate anything, they can light up. In February they do everything is pink for breast cancer awareness.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we ask any of our viewers that if you have recommendations about things, attractions, sites that you should see here in our very own city,
backyard.
Dallas. And you know what? We'll even include Fort Worth in that. Doesn't have to just be Dallas.
Yeah.
Let's not go overboard.
Oh wow! Whoa!
Have you guys ever jumped on the Trinity Rail Express and ridden from Dallas to Fort Worth?
No, I never have.
I have.
I want to.
That train is so much nicer than DART.
Oh, well, let's not besmirch the great city of Dallas's rail system.
Oh no, I'm just saying. I mean,
did I ever tell you about the time that he fell asleep on the train?
All right. Anyways, go ahead and leave us some comments about things you think we should do and we'll tell you if we've done them or not.
And we'll
please comment that
with our own Dallas activity guide for people who've never been here before. I think that'd be a cool endeavor for us to partake of. I think that's pretty cool. But how did we get on there from golf?
Oh, I guess because I brought up Jordan Spieth, or I don't even know, to be honest. He brought it up.
This
when that's what it was.
Dog food can over there, can of dog food over there. That's his name.
No, sir. I'm sorry.
Anyways, it would be
on a mask like that.
What's that?
Which one isn't worthy, first of all?
Oh, don't let your sister hear you say that, dude.
Anyway,
I'll say it louder. Anyways, we will have a Dallas episode soon.
Yeah. But there's one thing I told you guys that I wanted to talk about today.
Sure.
And that was, I have an admission to make to now that you mention it, universe, to our listeners and our followers and our viewers. And, I kind of
secretly a cross-dresser?
Well,
Only about that?
Hold
no,
on,
no.
first
to keep
of all,
that off the show.
you're gonna upset a certain audience.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna get cancel culture all over us,
Oh,
dude.
no. No
Man.
cancel culture. No cancel
He's always trying to get canceled, man. I don't
What?
get it.
You know, I was talking to you guys, and we, you know, I was thinking about this because I started watching a TV show that is so far out of the norm of for me to watch. I'm not very big on the romantic drama TV show. You know, I've never been big on the Desperate Housewives and the, you know, some of those TV shows that just are out there. You know, they're not typical guy fare. You know,
Mhm.
but my wife recently has turned me on to, and I have kind of,
Hold on. Let me guess. The Kardashians.
oh God, no.
Oh
Hell no.
gosh.
Let me.
I'm so glad that show is gonna be over.
Yeah, cancel the Kardashians, man. That's
Please.
no. And you know, there's a lot of them out there. You know, my wife has her little secret love affair with 90 Day Fiance and some of those other shows and things like that. But I recently started watching, and just because it was on Netflix, and she started watching from the very first episode, and that is Grey's Anatomy. And I've kind of just really gotten into it, man. I mean, it's not something typically that I watch, and it has a lot to do with the fact that it's a medical drama. But you know, we all have our misconceptions about a lot of things. We did recently, now that you mention it, podcast movie tournament, and one of the movies that I dreaded watching going into that movie was The Notebook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of the fact that I always saw it as one of those sappy, romantic, you know, girly movies, and it was a decent movie. It wasn't the worst thing out there, and there were aspects of it that I liked. Well, I kind of had that same feeling and that same preconceived notion about Grey's Anatomy. I was like, I'm never going to watch this show. It's sappy drama, romantic. You know, they're trying to wrap it around a medical TV show. And I'm a big fan of medical shows. I love House. That's one of my favorite shows. Scrubs is one of my favorite shows. You know, and I know we talked about it. Scrubs is funny, dude. There's no way about it. Scrubs is just hilarious.
It's a good show.
And you know, we talked about it earlier, bro. And I was telling you that Scrubs is, you know, one of the most accurate medical shows out there because, you know, they all use doctors as consultants on the show to try to get them at least partially accurate. I think Scrubs does a better job of it than most. But Grey's Anatomy, when I started watching it, it's funny. I didn't think they was gonna have comedy in it. You know, I thought you see the commercials for it on TV, and it's like, oh my God, McDreamy and this girl are all in love, and all the romantic drama that goes along with it, and blah 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 blah. And I thought it was going to be a bunch of doctors kissing in stairwells and, you know, stuff like that. That's, you know, standing out in the rain, declaring their love for each other and blah, 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 blah. And it really isn't that. I mean, there is that aspect of it. That's part of it. But, you know, there's some characters on there that are really funny. You know, their resident, you know, because there's different levels of being a doctor. You know, the low man on the totem pole is the intern. You know, they have to do a year as an intern before they can move up to being a resident. I think they have to do 4 to 5 years of residency before they can move up to being an attending physician. And for all of our medical people out there watching, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the way it goes. And I do have a question for all you medical people out there, because 2 different shows. I'll take Scrubs and I'll take Grey's Anatomy. Because in Scrubs, everybody knows that Bob Kelso is the chief of medicine, which makes him, you know, the head of the entire hospital. He's everybody's boss. And he's like the main administrator. And I think that's pretty much what the chief does. When Grey's Anatomy, the head administrator is the chief of surgery. Richard Weber. So Dr. Richard Weber, he's a surgeon, but he's the chief of the hospital. But he's the chief surgeon. But he runs the hospital. He's the head administrator. So all you people who work in hospitals, can y'all tell me who's the most powerful man in the hospital? Is it the chief of medicine or is it the chief of surgery? I really would like to know that. That's a good question for me.
Legal.
No, because even all the
I'm
legal
just playing.
report to the chief. Like everybody reports to the chief. The budget people, the accountants, they all report to this guy. He's like the main guy in the hospital. He's the guy making all of the decisions. So I kind of wonder.
Man, if only you knew someone who worked in a hospital and could tell you. Gee, I wonder.
Well, yeah, but I don't know how much your mom knows about the hierarchy of that.
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying because your mom works a lot of nights, right? Am I lying about that?
So what does that make? You think the night officers don't know who the chief police captain is? What does your shift time have to do with the hierarchy?
I don't know. Maybe she does. What do I do? I don't know anything about hospitals. Never worked in one. I've been to one a couple of times to visit family, but I don't know anything about the hierarchy of hospitals other than what I see on TV. I may just be completely out of water. The chief of whatever might not even be the head of the hospital. Maybe there's a board president or somebody that's running everything. What do I know? But from the way TV makes it seem, the chief of medicine or the chief surgeon or whatever are the heads of the hospital. So everybody's reporting to them. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't figure it out. But back to my original thought, and that's, so Grey's Anatomy, I figured was my guilty pleasure. I mean, it's one of those shows I don't think before now I would have ever admitted to liking or watching, but I like it. I don't know what to tell you now.
Because you developed that man crush on Patrick Dempsey.
I'll tell you what, man, his hair is glorious on that show. I will tell you that, dude. The dude has awesome hair. He really does. I need to figure out what he's using to get his hair like that because I need to hit up some of that.
Well, he ain't using that Just for Men that you use. He's using something else.
Whatever, dude. And I figured out that attending physicians' hands are worth $2 million to a hospital. Because, he's supposedly one of the foremost neurosurgeons in the country. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how this one hospital has one of the foremost neurosurgeons in the country and one of the foremost cardiothoracic surgeons in the country and one of the foremost, the main character, her name is Meredith Grey. Her mother's name is Ellis Grey, who supposedly was at one time one of the most foremost general surgeons in the country, all working at this one hospital in Seattle. Who would have thought that? You thought the foremost, be at the Mayo Clinic or I don't know, whatever big.
It's a television show.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole point.
Probably also have God working there on one of the shifts.
Hey,
right?
Damn.
You never know, dude. But, so I guess my question to you guys is, do you guys have a guilty pleasure show that you kind of, before now, we're putting it out there that you wouldn't admit to anybody else that you actually watch? Because before now, I don't think if anybody would ask me, hey, do you watch Grey's Anatomy? I'd be like, nah, I don't watch that crap. That's women. That's a woman's show. I don't.
All right, Archie, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. It's funny that you say Grey's Anatomy because my girlfriend started putting it on and I just happened to get into it, but it was the last season. And I'm going to be honest with you, I probably have no to very little desire to go back and start from season 1. Now they're about to drop the new season here in a couple of days, and I'll probably, pick up there. But for me, I'd probably say it. I was gonna say How I Met Your Mother.
Really?
Yeah, but now that you mention it, I'm actually gonna change my answer to the 90 Day Fiance or Love Is Blind. I got into those shows, and it's not something that I sought out
Yeah.
or anything like that.
And
It's the
that's
same
thing with
thing.
Grey's Anatomy. It's not something I sought out. It's not anything. Had it
Yeah.
not been for my wife watching it, there's no way I would have. If I'd have been flipping through Netflix, Grey's Anatomy, skip, move on to
Yeah.
the next thing. But
I think
because
the 90 Day Fiance or even the Love is Blind for me, it just fascinates me from the standpoint of you have this shortened time of window to get to know somebody and make a huge decision on your life. And you you do it in this, obviously hence the term 90 days. I mean, I know they've known each other for longer than that, but still.
Yeah, but you
They're
know what?
telling-
Some of those people on that show, man, they're meeting
Yeah.
people off the internet. They're going
Yeah.
based on, hey, this girl's in love with me in Russia, and some of these guys that are, going to fly these women over here to America are, these are some rough looking dudes, man. And you really think that 23-year-old stacked Russian blonde is really in love with you because she wants to be with you, pal? No, it's to get over here and get a visa, get over here and get a green
And
card.
it's so crazy because like each episode or each season, it just changes. Like you think you know what's gonna happen, and then like in certain instances, that's not what happens. It's just crazy how it works. I mean, I'm sure part of it's scripted or who knows, but that's probably gonna be my answer. But going back to How I Met Your Mother, I think that's something you should check out. Jay, is that?
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen the entire.
Oh, okay.
run. I love that
Oh,
show.
okay.
Barney's
I was gonna
funny,
say it kind
dude.
of reminds me of Scrubs in certain ways.
Yeah. No, I love How I Met Your Mother. I don't think that's really so much a guilty pleasure show for a guy, because I think that's
Yeah.
a guy show because it's comedy, because it has a lot of misogynistic overtones with Patrick
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris's character. He's that guy, and then the whole story of Ted and all that other good
Yeah.
stuff. No, that's How I Met Your Mother is a great show. I love that show. What about you, bro?
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh my god.
Get out of here. Teletubbies.
Sophia the First.
I love Teletubbies.
He likes the yellow one.
I love it.
He
No,
likes
actually,
Baby Son.
this one was a little bit hard. This topic was hard for me because
Green Beach movie.
I mean, there's a lot of shows that I have consumed, but because I would spend time watching them with my daughter, and so I mean, at first I thought about throwing out a lot of those titles like Jesse, what do you call it? Good Luck Charlie, iCarly, all those shows that my daughter watched growing up. Sometimes I would watch, repeats, even if she wasn't in the room. But you said, hey, but you don't watch those on your own now, and of course I don't, because I mean those really aren't shows for me, and so that's what made it hard, because the question I asked myself is, what do I want to watch even if it's just me, and it's something that people would say, well, I wouldn't picture
you
him
watching
going,
that.
yeah. And I really can't think of anything other than, like I was telling you, bro, like Antiques Roadshow. And I won't necessarily go seek it out, but if I happen to be, if I'm just happen to flip the channels and it's on, man, I could stay glued to the television for 5 or 6 episodes of the Antiques Roadshow.
Okay, just so I want you to know something, because I know you are getting up there in age, but you did just turn 50, not 76. Okay, you're not that old.
I think part of that, though, is the addiction that I have inherently, that I inherited from our father, Jesse P., that I want to find the next greatest treasure.
Yeah, you're a treasure
in
hunter,
the
man.
junk that's in my back pocket. I think I'm the guy that thinks I'm walking around with the 1934 copper penny, or 1943 copper penny.
I have watched
worth $1 million.
of Antique Roadshow. It's not something that I'll actively seek out either, and if it's on, I'll bypass it too. It's not high on my list of must watch TV. But some of the things that they get on that show are just like ridiculous. Like I think somebody found a old blanket that their mom had on the back of a couch or something like that. It turned out to be some like Indian artifact treasure worth $3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, how in the hell? And I'm looking through all my blankets, looking, when was this made? Oh, 1996.
That was bought at Walmart, so that's not worth it.
1996 Taiwan. Never mind. That was not going to work. But
no. But I mean, and that's what I say. I think it's the fascination of thinking that something that you own, that you have is maybe not junk per se, but that you think it's relatively little value, and it turns out it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And as you say, there are people who've discovered tremendous fortunes just in stuff that they had sitting up in their attic that they're, maybe they inherited from their grandparents that's been sitting up there for 30 years, right?
I think I've developed a new retirement strategy though.
What I'm
going to start doing is just going to thrift stores and buying just old paintings and frames and just
oh my gosh,
cutting them out and seeing if there's a copy of the Declaration of Independence hidden behind any of them.
There you go.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah. But it was really hard for me to come up with something, because most of the time, if I'm going to consume anything that's not really, I guess guy worthy or whatever you want to label it, it's only I'm going to watch it with my wife, because it's very rarely that I go watch anything. You know what? I'll take that back. The one guilty pleasure that I like, and I don't know why I like this, because I'm not even a huge fan of this actor, but I like the movie Serendipity, which is really it's a romance comedy starring
isn't that John Cusack?
John Cusack, right, and Kate Beckinsale. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I like that movie, but Kathy,
horrible movie.
Huh?
It's a horrible movie.
I know, but for some reason I love it. That's
Which
one of those
that one?
I watch by myself. And I always, there's certain scenes in that movie that I just love for whatever reason, right? So there's
which one's that one?
Serendipity.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically John Cusack.
Doesn't it revolve around a pair of gloves from Bloomingdale's or something like that?
Yep. Yeah. So it's a happenstance meeting between the two main characters, right?
And serendipity.
And you're right. And he instantly falls in love with her. Well, she, I think, is very attracted to him, but she has this thing about her, right? She's a huge believer in fate, right? And so she basically, before she's willing to get together with him, she wants to test whether they're meant to be. So they do, they somehow they get off. Their timing is wrong. They end up together in the end because it just meant that the timing wasn't right. Whatever. It's a sappy story. It's nothing, like you said, groundbreaking, but that's probably a guilty pleasure, I would say.
That's not one I would have nailed down on my big brother. Serendipity.
Yeah.
So, don't waste your time.
I really like that movie. And like I said,
to all you listeners and followers and watchers, comment what your guilty pleasure is and let us know. Sound off in the comments.
Yeah, because I would like
keep it R-rated, please. Keep it R-rated.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm just saying we do have brothers that would come in and gladly sabotage that thing.
You mean keep it PG rated is the term.
Yeah.
Well, I want to give people some leeway, right? I mean,
okay.
You want to be R-rated, be R-rated.
NC-17.
Just don't go for the X stuff. Don't.
So let me ask you what you feel about this, bro. Since you're the next great layout treasure hunter, you and I, we talked about this earlier, and you brought this up when we were talking about what we were going to talk about on the show today, and that's, do you have would you have enough cash available for you to go buy something at a thrift store? Do you carry cash on you?
Right. So the answer for me is yes. I don't carry, big amounts of cash, but I always felt like more than just the fact that I think it's a good idea for you to keep a little bit of emergency cash anyway, because you never know when you're going to be in a situation where, ATMs aren't working or somebody's credit card machine is down. I know it's not nearly as common as what it used to be.
Yeah.
So the need for it is even much at a much lower level. But I tell my boys, and you can ask them, I preach to them, I tell them all the time, you should always keep, even if it's just a $20 bill, but you should always keep an emergency money with you because you'd never know when you're going to need it. All right.
Yeah, I have an emergency 20 in my back pocket at all times. But other than that emergency 20, I very rarely, and I mean very rarely, carry cash on me. I'm so used to paying everything with my debit card, and I've already kind of fallen into that whole cashless society thing. To the point where there's no bill that I have that I pay in any other way than through bank draft or credit cards or debit card, I should say. Just because that's it makes my life that much easier. Because this about me growing up, one of the worst things about being a Leal, for the most part, is we have a very strong gene in our body that kind of creates a little havoc in our life, and that's the procrastination gene.
Mm-hmm.
Every Leal does it.
Right.
And it's just, I think, when the first Leal from that came over from Spain through the Canary Islands over to Mexico and immigrated his way up to Texas, that dude probably missed the first boat over from Spain because he procrastinated. He forgot to buy his ticket. And I think that's where it came from. So when I was younger, when we had to pay bills with money orders or checks or different ways, or you had to go to the bank to deposit your check and things like that, I was always behind on bills. I would always miss payments. And just because I hated going to the bank, I hated waiting in line to go deposit my check. I hated having to go buy a money order. I hated doing all that things. And one of the greatest advent of my lifetime is the internet and
automatic auto pay,
automatic bill pay. Well, and just the ability to now pay everything with a little piece of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I don't miss bill payments. Ever since the early, late 90s, early 2000s, the early aughts, when it became more prevalent to make, to pay all your bills online and things like that. And companies discovered it was easier for them to not have to pay somebody to sit there and process a bunch of paper bills. Now they don't have to pay, Jim down in receiving to open all the bills, take out all the money orders, deposit all the money orders. Now everything can just be done with a click of a button. And companies have discovered it's easier to save money doing that.
Yeah.
It has made my life so much better, so much more manageable.
I think part of the other reason that I was in the habit of always carrying money is, with Dad, sometimes he was notorious for, we could be driving anywhere, and if he saw a flea market or if he saw, a garage sale or a yard sale, he'd pull over, right? And sometimes you might actually find something worth buying there, but if you don't have cash, then you may have missed out on something.
Well, that, and there was never a scratch ticket invented that Jesse P wasn't a fan of.
Damn.
And back in the day, you couldn't buy lotto tickets with debit cards.
That's right. You're exactly right. And what's funny is there were a couple times when I loaned Dad some money, and when he paid me back with a with
A
a
lotto.
lotto ticket and says, "Oh, here you go." I was like, "Hey man, I gave you $100 bill cash. You giving me a $50 winner, a $20 winner, a $10 winner, a $5. I mean, I got to go. I have to go out of my way to convert this back into cash. That ain't cool."
And then the bad thing is you don't convert it back to cash. You wind up using those lotto tickets to buy more lotto tickets.
Yes, yeah, of course, it just makes it that much easier.
Yeah. So
No, but no, I still carry a little cash just as a precaution. I really don't use cash much anymore, but every now and then, like one of my guilty pleasures that I like to do is every now and then I like to stop at Sonic and get one of their soda drinks, right?
Yeah.
And even though the car hops really aren't doing
much
you
of
know,
anything.
well, like they used to,
Damn.
right? They're just really bringing your food
from
to
point A to point B.
right. But I still feel like tipping them, right? I give them $1 or whatever. So I always feel bad when I don't have that cash with me. Whenever they come and bring me my meal or the drink or whatever. Most Sonics now have a drive-through window, so you don't even have to do that anymore. But if you go to the old traditional Sonic,
where the car hops used to have to carry the little coin changer.
Yep.
So when you give them money, that click, 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 here's change. They don't do that anymore.
No, well, they don't have to. They don't have to because probably
Who pays by cash?
I was going to say I bet less than 5% of the customers pay by cash anymore. I think most people.
I cannot remember the last time I paid cash at a restaurant. I'm seriously, I cannot remember the last time I paid cash at a restaurant.
I can't either, to be quite honest.
I'm so used to when we go out to eat somewhere, just here's my card, just and writing the tip in.
So let me ask you something. Here's a little quirk of mine. Do you calculate exactly the percentage of the tip you're going to give them? So in other words, if your bill is let's call it $34.18, do you actually calculate the 20%, write that number down, or whatever percentage you tip?
Yes.
And write that number down and just and make it, or do you round it up to the nearest?
I round it up. I like leaving like a round figure on.
Yeah, I do too.
But okay, and here's this is a little side tangent. I worked in the restaurant industry for a lot of years, through our family business. And then I went into professional restaurant management, over 25 years in the restaurant industry. Guys, here's a little tip when it comes to tipping. Tip your servers. Tip your bartenders. There's nothing wrong with tipping them. And over tip, man, those guys don't make shit. Some of them are making, $3 an hour. Tip them. But please, for the love of God, stop tipping on the total bill.
Pre-tax.
Tip on the subtotal. Because when you're tipping on the total bill, you're tipping on tax. Don't tip on the tax, man. Tip on your subtotal. So when you tip, don't take that. If you get the bill and it's $30 total, don't leave, if you're going to leave 20%, don't leave a $6 tip, right? Look at the subtotal. Tip on the subtotal. I don't know why it irks me so much to do that. And because I'm a good tipper. I over tip everywhere I go. I tip 20 to 25%. I'm a good tipper. I always take care of my servers. Even when we go someplace that has bad service, I will still leave a tip. It may not be as much. I may only leave 15% at that point, but I will never leave less than 15% as a tip, right? And if you take good care of us, I'll probably tip you 25%. But I always tip on the pre-tax. And the thing that irks me is when you go to these restaurants that print the tip total out for you on the receipt. And if you do the math, those tip totals are based on the total bill. So they're asking you to tip on the tax.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tip on the tax, man. Just tip on the subtotal and rewrite those because those guys they're getting you every time. Because the service that your server gave you is based on that subtotal. It's not based on the tax. Because if your meal comes out to be, $100 subtotal, the tax in the city of Dallas is 8.25%. So you're, 825 in tax. You're going to tip an additional on top of the $100 you're already going to tip.
$1.60, $1.65.
Yeah. I mean, it drives me crazy, and I don't know why it drives me crazy, because I want people to tip their servers. No, sir, don't do that to me, because I'm not cheap. I always take care of my servers, even when there's bad service, even when they're inattentive. I have never walked out of a restaurant and not tipped, just because I spent so much time in the restaurant. And
I agree with you. We both had very similar experiences. I grew up doing the same thing that you did, working in the family business, waiting tables, doing everything really back of house at a restaurant, much less or much more in a tortilla factory. But I'm the same way. I try to take care of the people. When they take care of us, I'm very generous too. And I can honestly tell you that I truly believe there's been only one time, and one time only, that I've tipped very poorly. And it was because the waiter was such a jackass. And I mean, it irked me so much that I felt like I needed to grab his attention. Yeah. So I think our total bill was with drinks and everything was like over $120, and I left them a $5 tip.
Well,
and I actually wrote on the receipt. I wrote on the receipt, by the way, I'm generally a very good tipper, 20 to 25% minimum. But I must tell you, your attitude while giving us service only merited a $5 tip. And I wrote it and I signed it and I left it there. You ever done anything like that?
No, never. I mean, like I said, even when we get bad service, I still leave at least a 15% tip. Just because, and that's the lowest I'll always go, just because I know that most waiters and waitresses are only making $3.15 an hour. And a lot of times what people don't understand with waiters and waitresses is they may be just like everybody else. They're allowed to have bad days.
I know that.
Maybe their boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with them. Maybe their boss yelled at them for no reason, for something that wasn't even their fault. Maybe the kitchen staff are being dicks tonight, because kitchen staff are notorious for being dicks.
I honestly felt that the reason we got poor service on that occasion was because we went to a very nice restaurant, and I think the waiter made it up in his mind that we probably weren't financially capable of affording to eat there. Yeah. So he every time he came to the table and we wanted to order something, he would tell me, well, that cost extra. Well, this cost that, if you want that, it's going to cost extra. And I finally looked at him and said, did I ask you how much it cost? Did I ask you how much it cost? I didn't.
Yeah.
My kids want this. I want this. Bring me what I ordered.
Yeah.
Right. And then not only that, he never came around to check on our drinks or anything. And I just felt like, he made up in his mind that we probably weren't going to be able to afford, or, that we weren't going to be, I guess, good diners or whatever. And it kind of irked me because we were in a very nice part of town. Right. And I think he just kind of made that presupposition. Anyway,
I think there's some truth, or I guess middle ground to what both of you are saying. I mean, you can tip well, like when someone's having an off day, because people, like you said, people have off days. I mean, but at the same time, like they're in it's the hospitality industry, ultimately. So you can't not be hospitable and expect, for people to reward you for it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So before we close out, I'll weigh in on these two things. The cashless, I carry about 20 to 40 on me. Just because, like he was saying, is that he's pretty much always preached it, and you just never know when you're gonna be. Even if you are in Dallas or Fort Worth, and you just break down and you're gonna need a tire or something. Just having that cash at least helps. But I was reading.
Although,
I can't,
not to cut you off real quick, RJ, but although it is getting to the point where even the homeless people who are begging you for money can, they have a square, and they can swipe your
Damn.
card.
No, okay, and I kid you not, you guys, people are gonna think I'm lying about this, but I got hit up by a guy at a gas station, and I told him I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry, bro, I don't have any cash on me. You know what this dude said to me? It's okay, you can cash at me.
You can cash at me.
you need a debit card to have a Cash App, don't you? Or at least something.
This dude was like, you can cash at me. I'm like, first of all, to even be on Cash App, you need a smartphone.
You need you need a smartphone.
So if you can afford to have a smartphone and afford to have a Cash App account for me to
Then
cash
tear
app
your ass.
you don't need my money, homeboy.
Tear your ass.
I'm
You
just
know
saying.
that? All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, RJ.
You can cash
No,
out.
you're fine. I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, at that point, if you have Cash App, I don't know that I have too much sympathy for you.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to what I was saying is that on the cash thing, I was reading that there is going to come a day where our polar, what are they called? Polar fields or whatever. They're going to flip.
The magnetic.
Yeah,
pole.
they're going to flip, and all our systems will go down. And even with the high, the best technicians available, I mean, they're not going to be able to fix that in a day's time. So I think there will come when, I don't know.
Dude, you'll be long dead before that happens.
Well, you don't know that, bro.
You don't know. I mean,
There's coming a day where everything's going to be pretty much a stamp on your arm or a tattoo or something.
Idiocracy.
No. Have you ever seen the movie About Time with
No.
Justin Timberlake?
No.
Where everything is paid with time. It's not even cash anymore. So everybody's allotted a certain amount of time.
I think you had talked about it before, yeah.
But yeah, that's at some point that's what it's going to come down to, dude. Everything's going to be like fingerprint or eye scanner or like what's that movie? Minority Report.
Right.
Tom Cruise.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason, one of the other reasons I kind of continue to say, always keep cash is
At least a 20.
when back when I was working at the tortilla factory, it happened more than once that for whatever reason, whether it was bad weather, someone had an accident, took out a transformer or whatever, but the store basically lost power.
Yeah.
Right. And people would come in and they would still want to buy food.
Yeah.
Right. And when I was waiting on customers, if they had cash, I could take care of them because, we didn't need, we really didn't need a calculator and we could still calculate out what the cost was, including tax.
Yeah.
Right. And write down the sales and log it. Well, you went across the street to 7-Eleven because 7-Eleven, they're, first of all, the cashiers are just employees. And then number two is everything is digital. They basically had to lock up the store. They basically shut down no sales because the power went out. Right. Yeah. And so that's why I would always tell RJ is you never know when you're going to find yourself in a situation where you got to,
Yep.
What if you had to go get water or milk or whatever, and you walk in and the only place that's available to sell to you can't process a credit card. All they can do is take cash. Anyway.
All right, boys. Well, it's an interesting topic. We got a couple of things that we're going to bring out of this. The first is going to be the, now that you mentioned it, golf tournament. We're going to figure that one out. So we can shut over there that way.
That might be a while, just from a logistical standpoint, but we'll figure it out.
Nothing else. Let's do
how to play golf or what?
Let's do the now that you mention it podcast putt challenge.
Can you handle
Top golf? We could do Top Golf.
Top Golf.
Man, right. I don't know that doing that because Uncle JD might throw out his back on the first couple of swings.
Whatever, dude.
Damn.
Taking both of you chumps down. And second of all, we're gonna put together the
Dallas episode.
Dallas episode, yeah, to where we're gonna figure out what everybody needs to go. What
Attractions.
attractions and landmarks and everything that people that come to the city of Dallas need to go check out. So we'll put that together. But we want to thank you for another episode, guys. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Like Roland said in the very beginning, if you're checking us out on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Click the little bell so you get our new content when it comes out. Don't forget to hit us up on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to give our social media some love. Go see us on Facebook, on Instagram. Go check out our Reddit account, and now check us out on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, and we really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for another great evening. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Send us a tweet. Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna start calling you Norm. And guys, don't forget. Thank you to Jesse P, because we couldn't do this without you, sir.
That's
Amen.
right.
Happy Veterans Day, bros.
Happy Veterans Day.
I'll take it.
Happy
easy.
Masters
Thank you for your
Weekend
service.
and happy Veterans Day.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one. Take it easy.
You too.
Good night.